What's up YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of New Parents in Training. So today I'm gonna take this cylinder apart because I have done a video about cleaning the Dyson. A lot of viewers have issue with cleaning the inside, like literally clean the mesh and even deeper. So today I'm gonna take this apart to show you guys how to clean whatever is inside of the container. So a big disclaimer, I am not a vacuum servicer. This is not my profession. So what I'm showing you here, that's how I end up doing it. So just be very careful because a lot of these parts are plastic. You don't want to break anything. Some of the tools that you will need is a T15 screwdriver. T15. I think that goes for all Dyson vacuum that use a cylinder. So I don't recommend to use a big screwdriver like this one. You need to have a skinny one like this, especially if it's helpful that this can be interchangeable with different variety of heads. It is required to have a T15 screwdriver head, but you also need to have a flat head to kind of pry things open. Now I have a regular flathead screwdriver here. Now with this interchangeable parts, you can get something that's much smaller in terms of size. So that way it's easier to pry things open with it. Don't forget to like and sub. Now the first thing first to take out is the top, which you just pop it open. Now if you see here, there's two hinge here. You just kind of pull them apart. They should be come out quite easily. Now for most parts here that you see, I'm not going to take it apart because you can actually see it and wash it and dry it. But the one part I probably going to take it out is this part because it's kind of sealed, but water could get in there. Now you want to find the top portion here and you just pry at it until you hear the click, and then it comes right off. So you can wash inside here, and then put it back once it's dry. And then now move to the filter. If you own a Dyson machine, then you will know that the filter needs to be washed once a month. If you use more often, then you probably have to clean more. Now the filter can be disassembled. Now if you see the groove here, what you do is you twist and then you pry it open like so. Now so this one, I mean, is pretty clean, but otherwise if you want to clean even more, because there is a little thing here that's kind of getting in the way. So if you want to stick your finger in there, now you can do that. But earlier, then it's kind of hard to do so. But if you want, you can tear this apart. Okay, now let's open up the cylinder. So if you own a Dyson machine, you will know that to open up the bottom door to dump out the trash, you just have to press on this, which is connect to the handle here. Now since I took this apart, what you can do is you just press down until the bottom door is open. So in order for you to take out the bottom portion, you have to kind of yank it one way and it should come right out to pry it open. So here's the bottom portion. Now you can take out the rubber bushing here. So we can give it a more thorough wash. So you just pull on one side, all the other ends should come out as well. Now when you come to this portion, just be careful, because you don't want to rip it too quick. Just be mindful of this part and this part because it's holding the rubber bushing here. And then there's one other bushing here. What you do is you just kind of pull on it a little bit and then it should come out. So this is what you will end up with. Now we have to take out the cylinder. There is one more button in the back here. Press down on the silver button here and then pull the cylinder. This should come right out like so. This can be washed under the faucet. So in order to take out this bottom portion, what you need to do is take a flathead screwdriver and put a little bit of tape in front of it, so that way you won't, you might scratch things a little bit less. But anyway, so there are 6 clips here that are around the top cylinder part. So what you do is you take the flathead, you pry, and once you hit the pop, then it's off. So now you just continue on until you get all 6 of them. It does take some elbow grease, but once you get 2 of them open, the rest of them is a little bit easier. Okay, so now it's off. Now you do need to be mindful of this spring here. So this thing has to be going this way. So when you're ready to reinstall, just be mindful of this spring, this rotation. You want to get the mesh out, you have to use a flathead screwdriver and go along this seam here. What you do is you just stick this thing in there. It might be hard for you to see it, but so once you get it going, pretty much have to stick your screwdriver in there to pry it open. It does take some elbow grease. And now it's open. Now you can clean this part as well. So I'm gonna put this aside. If you never opened this cylinder up before, once you open it up, it's gonna smell. So what you can do is you can wear a mask to avoid some of the smelling the dust. Okay, now let's take out even more parts. You can use a flathead. So you see the plastic portion here. So you just pry on it. It should come right off. So yeah, this part is out. Okay, so now here comes the T-screw. So you need something that's long. Oh, it's actually too fat on the handle. So let me see. Okay, so this is actually skinny enough and long enough for me to reach all the T-screws in there. So again, you need to have T15 screws for any of the Dyson cylinder vacuums. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 screws inside. So you just have to unscrew them. Alright, so this is what it looks like. So there are more seals here that you can take it apart. So make sure you keep all the screws. Obviously, you don't want to lose them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a total of 6 screws. Alright, so this 6 screws, set it aside. Make sure you don't lose it. Now, some of the things that you might want to be mindful of, if you have camera or cell phone, just make sure you take a picture of it when you take out the parts so you know exactly how to put it back. Now, in this case, for this one, you see this thing that's sticking out, and there's only one opening, which is by the hole over here. Now, them two need to line up in order for it to fit back. Well, I mean, I'm going to show you how to put it back after I've done clean this, but that's just something that you want to be mindful of. And that spot over there also corresponding to the spot on this portion as well. So this will be how it's going to get pulled, how it's going to go back as. So just keep that in mind. There is only one way for this to go back. So if you find you're having a hard time to kind of line up everything, then you know you're probably doing something wrong. So now this is off. Let's see if I can actually pull this out. Nope, yes, I can. And this is very soft, by the way, this rubber. So just make sure that you're not pulling too hard on it. So yeah, the part that is sticking out goes on top. So when you put this back on it, just make sure that you are doing according to that position. And there are a bunch of holes here, the small ones that go corresponding to the part that's sticking up over here. So just make sure when you put it back, you put it back the same way. What I'm going to do next is to use soapy water, rinse it, and air dry it for 24 hours or until it's bone dry before I put it all back together. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Alright, so everything is clean. Now let's put it back. So to put everything back is pretty much the reverse. So it should be a lot quicker than taking it apart. Alright, so starting from the base, this will be the top part of the cylinder. Anyway, look for this particular spot right here. There's only one, like where the handle is going to be. There's a hole there. So for this part to put it back, you will see this thing sticking out. This is the point of reference. What you do is this same spot. This is the only slot that doesn't have a blockage. So you see everywhere else there's something that's blocking off. This is where this part goes into. So as long as you line this up, this will fit like this. Now for this seal, so I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's one side that's kind of sticking up. When you touch it, you can feel there's grooves, but the other side is pretty much flat. So the one that's sticking up goes on top. There's not really a particular side that you have to line up. You just have to put this in. You might need to stretch it a little bit in order to fully press down into the enclosure. So now that this film is in, we have to put the cyclone part into the cylinder. Now what you need to do to line up is this position here. That goes corresponding to the same position that you see down here. So you need to make sure that both of them are lined up before you set it in. But before you do that, remember those 6 T15 screws? Now it will be much easier if you just put inside the cyclone right now. So put all the screws in before you set this down. Now what you're doing is to line everything up. Okay, you will kind of feel it once it's in place because everything just kind of clamped down together. So there are 6 screws in here. What I would do now is to do a crisscross pattern. If you do one here, you do one here, and then go across. I will tighten them down, but not too tight until I get them all kind of in place. So this way you will get even pressure when you screw these parts back together. So I did one over here. I will start doing one here. And now I'll start one here. Okay, now that I kind of tied them down one by one already. So once you have done that, just make sure that go back and then recheck every single one of them to make sure that tighten down fully, completely. Still in the crisscross pattern. Okay, so all the screws are in. Now we have to put this back into on top. This thing, make sure the foam is on top and the plastic part is on the bottom, and go in like so. Make sure this thing is fully in there. Press them down one by one to double check. Okay, so the cyclone portion is done. Now I need to put the mesh back into this part. So you will see an opening here, and that will line up with this portion here. So just make sure that you line them up. Once you hear the click, so you kind of pretty much pulling this down like so. Once you hear one side is clicked in, then you can just rotate this until all sides are in, like so. Now that most of the parts are back in, so we have to put this one and this one together. Now, when you do that, this is a little bit tricky. I mean, it's not that complicated for this model anyway. So this little thing, remember, that came out? There's a spring here. I left it in there because it's easier for me to remember. But if for whatever reason this spring came out, when you put it in, you just have to make sure that the metal is in between this group here. So as long as this side is like this, you're okay. So just make sure that this little sticking part is in place. Okay, so what you need to do is to put the spring inside like so. Make sure this middle part is in between here. And now we can put this back in. Once you hear the click, you can just go around. Make sure it's all in place. So you can kind of test it out by pushing down to see if the spring goes back. And in this case, it does. So we okay to move on to the next part. So let's move on to the bottom door, where those 2 seals that I took out to wash. The seals are relatively easy to put back in. You see these 2 parts that's sticking up? The 2 parts that's sticking up are going to this portion here. So what you do is that this is sticking up, and then what you do is to do the flat part first. So this part, once it's in there, then what you do is just kind of go around and make sure the rest of it will go in. So some of the things that you need to be mindful of is that to position this seal back into the bottom door is that use this as a reference guide. And then once this is in, then you just kind of gently push the seal back in. Make sure that it's completely within the tabs themselves. And there's one area that you need to be careful of is here. There's a sticking there's a part that's sticking out from the seal. That part has to be going to this portion here that you see. So just make sure that the seal is not sticking up anywhere, and then you are done for that seal. Now for this one, the one center ring, push it down. Like so. Alright, so put the bottom door back into the cylinder. It will be a little bit easier if you set the cylinder upside down and then have the door in the flip out position and just slowly get one side in and then work on the other side. So what I end up doing is I get this side in, and from the top part I slip this in, so like this. So you have to have this upside down. It's easier to work this way. You have this container upside down and then have this in the open position like so, and then get one side in, then slip in on the other side. And now this is in. Oh, the seal is very tight right now. Alright, so now this is done. Okay, so right when I want to put the cylinder and this portion back in, I realized something. I forgot it's spring. So in between the silver button here, there's a spring in the back. So it took me a while to kind of push the spring back in. So you can see now this thing works. So what you need to do now is to make sure that bottom door is remain open because you need this spot to line up with the silver button. So what you do is you pretty much just slip this back on like so, and then close the door like so. Okay, so the filter, remember I took it apart. What you need to do is just kind of make sure that you line up. You can just push it in. So yeah, turn it a little bit as long as it doesn't move, so you can see this is right in the right position. And we'll just now put this in there. And now the very top portion, remember I also take this apart. So what you need to do is find the fitting right here. There's 4 of them and corresponding to the 4 slots here. So you just kind of get one in and just kind of push around until I get into position. And now the last bit, you get one side in, you pry the other part out a little bit, and then that's how you slip into position. And now this is finished. Voila! Done, done, done. It took me a while, but yeah. So this is how you take it apart and put it back on. I hope you guys liked this video. Don't forget to like, sub, and share. Until next time, bye.